Hello, I'm back doing Creator Sim, which isn't very usual for me. Normally I like to do speed builds, but every now and again I do a nice little Creator Sim. So I don't really know where the idea of doing a granny came from. I think because I haven't got any Let's Plays or anything, but I was kind of thinking about, so believe it or not, I don't actually play Sims that much, because most of the time I spend on Sims are building things. I want to try and build myself a new world before I actually start playing on it. But yeah, I was thinking about like storylines, because when I do play Sims, I like to have an idea ahead of playing. You know, like if I make a married couple, I'll be like, oh yeah, and then she's going to cheat and it's going to be a messy divorce and the kids are going to go live with their mum, and you know, I like to really try and add some depth to the gameplay. So Granny Nora was kind of inspired by more of a storyline that she kind of fits into. So I probably will play her at some point. I don't know whether I'll bother, you know, doing it on YouTube or off camera. Maybe I will, I don't know. But basically with Granny Nora, the idea is she's a little old lady. She comes across really sweet and, you know, like a typical little old lady next door, but inside she is a vixen. So she's a bit of a cougar. She likes the younger men. She is pretty much rock and roll. Don't know if you saw the strip club I built. One of the best speed builds I've ever made, that strip club. So she used to work there. Like to, you know, do cross reference with my storylines. So she's had a bit of a rough life. I mean, Granny Nora, if you were to, you know, really see her life up until today, it's pretty much Grand Theft Auto. She is a tough bitch. And she doesn't have any kids. She's not really a kid kind of person. And yeah, she really likes young men. And I think if I ever did a storyline with her, it would be along the lines of her maybe, I don't know, creating like a little dungeon or something, going a little bit Fritzl on it, getting some young men and locking them in a dungeon. I mean, it is Sims, so you can get away with it if it's not real. It's fiction, it's fine. So yeah, she's a saucy little minx, this one, and she likes the men. She's very jealous. And yeah, so I thought, well, I've got this storyline for a little old lady who's got a saucy side, so I may as well create her. So as I was making her, it was actually really difficult creating her, because usually whenever, I mean, as I said, I don't post many videos for Creator Sim, because I don't think I'm that good at it. Although I post a lot of speed builds and I'm not good at them either, but I feel like I'm particularly bad at Creator Sim. But when I do Creator Sim videos, they're usually based off of other characters. So like, you know, the Disney princesses, I have some kind of point of reference, so I know things like skin colour, hair colour, the kind of makeup they would wear. I don't really put them in clothes that they would wear, I tend to just follow their colour. So like when I made Snow White, I literally just thought, fuck it, blue top, yellow skirt, job done. So that's kind of how I tend to make Creator Sim that I'm actually going to put on YouTube, or like Ariel from The Little Mermaid, things that already exist and they already have an obvious point of reference. So this one was quite tricky because I was just working off my imagination. So I was really torn between whether I make her look like, you know, a saucy granny who doesn't mind getting it all out on show, or whether I'm going to go with like the typical sweet little old lady next door kind of vibe. So that's why it probably took me quite a while to find what to put her in, because at this point when I was choosing her clothes, I was still in my head like, oh, which creative direction should I go with her clothing? So yeah, that's why I tend to not go freestyle with Creator Sim that much, unless I'm just playing for myself. And not open to criticism, but yeah, that's one of the daunting things about recording myself making something completely from scratch, because when it comes to speed builds, you can just edit the shit bits out. Half of the speed builds I've done, the videos have actually started like 10 minutes before. I just cut that bit out where I struggled to make like a foundation like 10 times. Just cut it out, leave the good stuff in. But with Creator Sim, you can't really chop and change these videos because it's obvious. Like you will know, you can tell. So yeah, this is Granny Nora. She's going to have quite a story. I really don't know if it's worth doing one for her. Also, you know, I am quite new to YouTube, as you could probably tell, and I don't really have, you know, much by way of like subscribers or followers or anything like that. So I kind of feel like when it comes to doing LPs, there's a bit more effort put into them. You have to really think about it and try and, you know, play the game. And I would be up for doing that, but I don't want to do it if no one wants it. So if you are one of the handful of people that are watching this and you do actually want to see Granny Nora in action with her sluttish ways, then let me know and I probably will do an LP. But at the moment, I'm probably just going to sit baby in the corner for a little bit unless there's any kind of want for it, and then if not, I'll just play it by myself. I'm kind of going for like a Doris vibe with this. I know obviously her name is Granny Nora. She's her own person. She's not Doris. But yeah, I'm kind of going for the same sort of personality as Doris from Gavin and Stacey, which if you're from the UK, then you will know who that is because everyone knows Gavin and Stacey. For my American subscribers, my many American subscribers, I don't know if you will know who she is because it doesn't really seem to be a thing here, Gavin and Stacey. I mean, I know it's been like 10 years since it aired, but with the Christmas special just happened, it's not been on TV or anything. I had to jump through a lot of hoops to be able to watch Gavin and Stacey on Christmas Day. So I don't think it's really a thing here. But for those of you that don't know, I mean, just go on Google Gavin and Stacey Doris. You'll get a picture of this adorable little old lady, and she was like a next door neighbour, family friend, quite a sweet little lady, but she did have a bit of a cheeky side. She was a bit of a minx. So that's the kind of vibe I'm going for here with Nora. But they are different people, but maybe they're related. Maybe they could be sisters or distant cousins or something. She's not built from anyone that I know personally. She's not based on anyone from my real family. I did have one old lady in my family who was my great nan, and we were very close. I used to go round there and sit with her every single week. We spent a lot of quality time together. And I remember once we decided that we would bake a cake, and this was about 10 years ago. So I don't eat meat. I think I've mentioned that before, but I don't not eat meat because it's cool. I've just always not really done it. Well, I say always. It's been about 15 years since I last had any meat. So by this point, I had not eaten meat for quite some time, and we decided we'd make a little cake, a little strawberry cake. And so I went to the shop, got all the ingredients, and yeah, because my great nan usually, she doesn't put meat in cake, but she makes it in a way that isn't vegetarian friendly. So we're making all the like mix and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited to finally be able to enjoy one of your cakes because they're vegetarian. She was like, oh yeah, it'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Yeah, we'll have some nice strawberry cake. And then she picks up the pan and she's like greasing it. And I said, oh, what's that you're greasing the pan with? And she was like, oh, it's duck fat, it is, duck fat. And I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't have the heart to tell her that duck fat does count because, you know, has come from an animal. I mean, well, I don't eat things that necessarily haven't come from an animal. I mean, eggs are fine, cheese is fine, but I'm pretty sure duck fat you do need to kill that animal to get it. So I was a bit like, oh, fuck's sake, I'm making this cake and I can't even eat it. But bless her, she tried so hard. But yeah, that's one of my main memories. She never really liked the fact that I was a vegetarian. She always kind of found it a bit of a nuisance, but bless her, she did try. She cooked corn every now and again, although she would never try it. But she was a very respectable lady. She didn't really, she wouldn't talk about taboo things or anything like that. But there were a few moments where she was very funny. I remember my brother came round to her house, and he was, 18, something like that. And he always thought it was really funny to wear these like these t-shirts that had like sex positions on them, or, you know, disrespectful words or things like that, because he thought it was really cool. And I think he thought because Great Nan was like in her 90s, maybe she wouldn't notice. But he came round once and he had a t-shirt on, and it had one dog mounting another, and the slogan said "Doggy style, the bitches love me." And my Great Nan straight away was like, what's that t-shirt you've got on there? And my brother went bright red. His face was like a tomato, and he was like, I don't know what you're talking about, Nan. And she was like, is that what you call women? Bitches? Is that what women are to you? They're just bitches that you can mount on like a dog? I was like pissing myself laughing. And my brother was like, he never gets embarrassed. I've spoken about him before. He doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks. He only lives to amuse himself. But at this point, he was so embarrassed because he cares about, you know, what Great Nan thinks. So that was a big highlight for me, was watching him squirm in that situation. It was very, very funny. And she also very rarely swore. Like, she wouldn't swear often, which made it even funnier, because when she did choose her moment to say a swear word, it always made it that much more funny, because it was not in her nature to swear. So if she ever said, "Oh, she's a little bitch," everyone would be like, "Oh my God," and it would be really funny. But she used to have this saying about my granddad, which always made me laugh, because he was lovely, but not really the most... she would say he was just very tight with his money, didn't really like to spend money. And every time she spoke about him, she always said the same thing, which was the best thing I've ever heard an old lady say in my life. She would go, "Oh, I don't know about him, my darling. He's as tight as a duck's arse, and that's watertight." Watertight. And you probably heard a bit of a twang there. She was from the West Country, so her accent was even more hilarious. And everything she said was hilarious and brilliant. So I'd like to say that I decided to make Granny Nora in her honour, but that's a bit of an insult, so I won't say that. But I don't know why making an old person has reminded me of the one old person I had in my life, but yes, memories. My mum used to work in an old people's home, and when I was a kid I used to go to work with her, and I used to spend ages just talking to them, listening to their stories. So I'll admit I do have a soft spot for the oldies. I do love old people very much. Anyway, we're at the end of the video now, just choosing her traits. She's jealous, she's a dance person, and she's hot-headed as well. I haven't really spoken much about this character. Oh, this is a bit where I was trying to get a nice picture, but she always looked so gloomy, so I thought, fuck it, I'll leave it there. But anyway, thanks for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, all that. Bye!